You're welcome to the Cruising is Life podcast. Whether you're a seasoned cruiser or just starting out, we have something for everyone. So sit back, relax, and get ready to set sail with us on the Cruising is Life podcast.
All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Cruising is Life podcast. Welcome back for another weekly show here. We've got the little blank space on our screen right now for those who are watching because Justin's a little late. But we are joined by Dimitri. How's it going, buddy? Welcome back. But yeah, we've got a really exciting one, and this one really came out of left field, and I think all of us, like in our little chat that we have together, we're all just like completely blown away by this news recently, and it's gonna be a fun thing to kind of talk about. But of course, first things first, Brady's already checking in with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Brady. Welcome back. But what were you gonna say? Right, exactly. Like, and one, like, if you would have told me, 10, 15 years ago that the Golden and Sun Princess, right? Or no, it was a Star Princess. Sun Princess is the new one. The Golden and Star Princess were going to be Carnival ships, I would have told you were crazy. Let me get some of that because it seems pretty good with that kind of an idea. Crap. Darn it. I screwed up the audio again. Hold on. I always, there we go. It's always set to Justin's. My bad.
So
Dimitri's
you muted
back.
me this whole time?
Yeah, we've been talking this whole time. It's just
Whole
been me.
time I've been muted.
Technical
can't believe
difficulties. But yeah, I mean, so essentially what the big news of the week is that Carnival is absorbing their subsidiary of P&O Australia, which is crazy to think about. At first I was like, whoa, that's huge. But once I started looking at it, they really only have 3 ships. So it's not a big, my cat's knocking everything over now. It's not really like a big thing. It's more of just like a very big surprise, if anything else.
I mean, not only a big surprise, but like that they only have 3 ships. That older ship, I mean, Pacific Explorer, like you were saying, what was that one before? Was that one, that wasn't the Grand Princess? Was that the Star or the Pacific one? I don't remember.
So that one I think was an old P&O, like an old actual like P&O UK ship, or an old princess ship, or an old princess ship, like a long time ago.
I was going to say, I think it was a princess ship, and then it obviously is P&O, well, they're all princess ships. But is the P&O UK obviously the same company as the Australian one? And does that mean that the UK one is going to be sucked into Carnival in 5 years?
So essentially what it is that, or I guess like the background of it all, is that back in the 1990s and the early 2000s, is Princess owned P&O. They kind of worked hand in hand, and that's like kind of why you see some of the similar ships, especially from back in that era. But so back then, and then like around the early 2000s, right before Carnival kind of stepped in, they made this a little side branch of P&O just for the Australia division. So P&O essentially, like, its main thing is almost like I wouldn't say like a UK version of Princess, but like you get what I mean. Right. It's just a small subsidiary of Princess, and then that's just a smaller part of P&O in itself. But now what it is that when Carnival stepped in, not only did they get Princess, but they also got the subsidiary of P&O that included the Australia division.
I get it.
Yeah.
So are they only going to be keeping the 2 Grand class ships, and then the Dawn Princess or the Pacific Explorer is leaving, or are they turning that one into a Carnival ship too?
So the small one, the Pacific Explorer,
The small one. Yes.
It's going to
Being
be sold
sold.
off. We haven't been told who the buyer is, but it's not going to get scrapped. From what I've been told, it's not getting scrapped.
Got it. Probably one of us Greeks are gonna buy it and turn it into something with a big mermaid on the front.
Costa Magica right now. Oh my god, have you seen the pictures of that? It looks terrible.
I saw it. I sent it to you. It's so
Oh, that's
horrible.
right. It looks so bad.
Or
I don't.
maybe Brady Coopy will buy it with all his money.
But yeah, so that one's being sold. I've heard Ambassador might I left this out of the news video that I did on this. Um, Ambassador Cruises might
Yeah.
be who bought it, but we don't know definitively, and that's kind of why I left it
What
out.
money are they gonna buy it? Didn't they just like end a cruise while people were on it because they went bankrupt?
No, it was having technical problems, is what it was supposedly. Um, but yeah, so, and I think they're the buyer and the now owner of the Empress of the Seas, if I'm not mistaken.
Whoa, I thought Empress of the Seas like died. No, Empress is sailing in India.
Right? Um, is
It's
it
just sailing under Empress. It sails to like
Empress?
Mumbai and stuff in Sri
Oh, okay,
Lanka.
maybe it's just a different company then. For some reason I was thinking that Empress was sold to Ambassador, but maybe that's just not somebody similar. Maybe it's a similar paint scheme.
Maybe. I don't know what the company is called here. I have it pulled up. Cordilla.
Brady
Cord-
Cordell.
Brady.
Okay. Brady said sent another $5 super chat. He said, "Here's a gallon of gas for Big D's rig of a vehicle."
I appreciate that. I will say I did fill up today. Can anybody guess how much it took for me to fill up?
He has a big ol' lifted Ram 1500.
Please. Wrong answers only.
And up right above that, we have Jason in the chat as well saying, "Crazy, just a few years ago they were supposed to get Panorama." And that's honestly what I was thinking about earlier too. It it was so the that whole ordeal with that ship too is P&O Australia was supposed to get like their first ever new build when they ordered that third Oasis ship, or not Oasis, Vista ship. Oh, big
Whoa.
big difference there.
Whoa.
Um, but I think everybody's guessing in the hundreds, by the way, on your gas price.
I see it.
Um,
Thank you for being very optimistic, but no, it was close to $90.
Dang. My little my car takes premium, but my little Civic, it costs almost $50 now. It's getting pretty bad.
Yeah,
Um,
ridiculous. But right back to
but yeah,
Penn.
just a couple years ago, the big deal was that they were gonna get a brand new ship, and they were like a big new build, which they had never done before. And then after a while, as it got closer, it, they kind of went back and forth, and it seems like they they weren't really confident on being able to fill it up, things like that. And so what they did is that they got with Carnival and they exchanged, or they came up with like the big exchange where Splendor was supposed to go over to P&O Australia, which was like kind of surprising because she was still relatively new at the time.
Mhm.
Not new, but she was also, a 10 to 15-year-old ship was not something that you would expect to get transferred out or retired.
Yeah.
And then, as that got even closer, then it was like, oh, instead we're just going to get a princess ship, but Carnival keeps both, which was probably the most savage move out of the entire deal. Is Carnival instead Carnival just got two ships out of it, and they got something small.
I mean, yeah, obviously Splendor was obviously supposed to be Costa's ship. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's kind of the ugly duckling, but I mean,
It
Carnival
is.
has so many of those now with Luminosa. Like, I still don't understand why they didn't give it the full treatment. Like, it's so like half baked,
Mm-hmm.
and it just is not getting very many reviews. And it's just like you should have just kept it with Costa and
Mm-hmm.
left it at that.
They just, and don't get me wrong, because I love Carnival and everything like that, but the way they did Luminosa, it seems lazy is the best and nicest way I could put it. It just seems like a very lazy transfer. The ship doesn't even have guys burgers. The Costa by Carnival ships like Venezia and the Firenze, those are done up more and better than the Luminosa, which is truly a Carnival ship.
Truth.
Venezia and Firenze, despite being, more of a Carnival ship than the Luminosa is, those are still set up to get transferred back to Costa in the next couple of years. And don't think that's not on the table, by the way, if anybody's listening or what. Like, they set it up like that for a reason. They're advertising as Costa by Carnival for a reason. Don't be surprised at all if, the 27, 28 year runs around, we start getting these new XL ships, and they, it's a very good possibility that they do get transferred back eventually to Costa once they've recovered.
It's so crazy.
It's a very weird strategic move, but right now it's working for them. Costa is struggling, whereas Carnival is struggling to meet the demand. So, they're taking what they have with somebody else, and they, they're helping themselves while helping their subsidiary by reducing their fleet and their capacity. That way they can kind of recover a little bit. Because they started kind of leveraging Asia a lot more too. The Venezia was actually built for Asia, which is kind of funny. So they had a lot of ships over there, and then all of a sudden the Asia market just completely, we all know what happened. The Asia market just completely fell apart, to the point where they were already at that point ripped up, MSC's stepping in and the big dog just, stepping on everybody's necks, basically, in the entire industry, and let alone their own Costa's own turf. That's Costa's bread and butter is Italy and the Mediterranean. Also, Brady with the $69 super chat. Thank you.
You're the best.
You're the best, Brady. We love you.
For the win. Anywho, I think Carnival's decision of going up market with their prices and their offering is kind of not in their best interest, because they're always known as like the cheaper alternative. Right. But now, if they're not changing anything with the service and the food, they're going to fall real behind. I feel like what kind of happened to them on at least their newer ships.
So I will say the XL class, those don't feel like Carnival ships at all. I know what you're saying, and I definitely kind of agree with that. I think right now with the the demand of the industry right now is just kind of causing those prices. Just regardless or not, I know Royal Caribbean charges even more, and they have, the a little bit higher service and better offerings, things like that. I think that's more of the demand of the industry is what's causing the price increases with Carnival. But yeah, I think also that with that in mind, though, the XL class does have those better offerings, maybe not one for one with Royal Caribbean. But I think those new XL ships really don't feel like your old traditional Carnival ship in that sense.
Okay, and I get that. Maybe I just need a sail on one, and then we'll talk. But going to the chat, I hope, Jason, that they don't just half-bake these ships, because then I think that will be in a big waste of money for them. And for LS, I don't think Costa will be completely merged in the Carnival, because I think there's a place in Europe where like that market looks for those kind of ships in that Italian, like that straight up Italian thing. So I don't know, it's like a whole different world over there compared to like over here.
Right, and Costa's kind of the reason that Carnival doesn't have any ships over in the Mediterranean every year, kind of like everybody else in the industry does with Norwegian, Celebrity, Royal. Carnival doesn't do that. With themselves. Right. They'd be fighting against themselves, and that's exactly what's happening down in Australia right now. They're fighting against themselves, against P&O Australia with their Carnival ships. So essentially what's going to happen is that instead of having two ships fighting against two ships that are probably better than the other two, instead of going head to head, they're all just going to be under one. And, going back to Jason's comment earlier in the chat here, I hope they learn their lesson a little bit with Luminosa, and I hope when Luminosa is ready for her first, little update and little dry dock at least, I hope they improve it a little bit more, because it really just felt like they put a fresh coat of paint on it and slapped the Carnival's, name on the side of it.
Needed
Whereas,
that dry dock like yesterday.
right, exactly. But and I hope Carnival kind of learned their lesson, and I hope they're not as lazy with these. The really interesting part is, like, with these ships too, it's not that these ships that they're transferring into the fleet, other than the Costa by Carnival ones, those are a different story. But these secondary ones that they're transferring in to be full-time Carnival ships, these ships are not intended for the U.S. and not intended for the main market of Carnival. I know the Luminosa does see the U.S. when it goes to Alaska,
and
but
it does not
that's
get good
seasonal.
reviews.
It does, right. So it does not get very good reviews, but it spends half the year in Australia. Same with Splendor, who actually is probably the best ship down there, out of the Carnival fleet. But these two new ones are never going to be intended to leave Australia. At least, they're just not. They're doing this strategically. They're meeting the demand that they need in that market without building new ships, because building the new ships is going to take them 2, 3, 4 years, like the new XL ships are. This is a quick and easy fix, and they can kind of meet the demand that they're missing out on.
I hope so. I hope it goes that way. And like I said, the Australian market is competitive to a certain point. I know we were talking last night or the night before. Celebrity Edge is down there.
Quantum Class are down there.
New Virgin is down there. What is it? Not Brilliant Lady. Resilient Lady.
Right. There is a demand down there, and that market is getting very strong and growing a lot.
Class was down there, forever. And there was also like a Voyager class there for the longest time.
Yeah,
and it's like
it was Voyager. Voyager's going back, actually.
Really?
Yeah, she's only doing this one season in Canaveral, and then the next year when she's going all the way down to Australia.
Wow.
It's crazy. And we're getting Explorer instead.
I think it's just like time that, I mean, those ships are pretty old. Like, they've already traded hands. Like, I think they need a new life. And I think that market will reward them if they do it right. If they don't do it right, forget about it.
Right. That's the biggest concern, because they did an incredible job with Venezia and Firenze, but the true Carnival transfers, though, like Luminosa, they definitely could have done a little bit better with it. Hopefully it just doesn't seem lazy like it was the last time.
Knowing Carnival, I think we know where this is going to go, but well.
I'm cautiously optimistic about what they do with these, and again, they're not ships that we're going to see here in the U.S. They're never going to come to the U.S., and anybody that thinks they will, or if you're hoping that they do, unfortunately, that's not the reason they bought these ships, or that they're taking these ships on.
If you think they're coming to the U.S., I want whatever you're on, and we can both drink together.
Brady with $2 says, "Where's Big Pookie?" I don't know. He said he was going to be late. He ain't showing up.
He doesn't love us.
But yeah, it's an interesting Speaking of, there he is.
Oh, his ears were ringing.
We just had somebody, or Brady just asked where you were. Now I gotta.
I am here. I am here, my child.
Coop, you're welcome.
Sorry, I was on the phone with my father.
Uh-oh, Mitchy baby.
Mitchy baby.
All right.
So where are we at?
We're just talking about the P&O ships, kind of like, I guess, what they've done with P&O Australia, or not P&O Australia, but like the Carnival Luminosa, and the possibilities that these two new ships have. All right, this is gonna be all wonky.
Come on, you got it.
What?
But yeah, you two can converse while I got to sort this out.
Justin, what do you think they're going to do? Are they going to fail this tragically, or are they going to succeed?
I mean, I think it'll do well. It's Carnival, it's at this point, it's more about the name than anything else. So people are going to associate Carnival with, what they know about it. The fun style and deck parties and stuff like that. So I think it'll do well. I was hoping, I say hoping, we just found out like yesterday, but it would be nice to see those ships go back to Princess because it's still owned by Carnival and maybe do some kind of Princess offerings out there. Maybe they looked at that and it might have not been a financially a good idea, but that would have been cool because they were originally Princess ships. But I think it'll do well. I mean, it's Carnival in Australia, so they'll retheme the ships and add some stuff here and there. So I think it'll do well.
But going up against Celebrity Edge, a Quantum class, the new Virgin ship, Resilient Lady or Brilliant Lady, whatever one it is, one of the ladies.
Yes.
I hope they don't mess it up.
Yes, there's definitely a lot of new competition out there, like you said, with some of these bigger ships from the other cruise lines, especially with Edge. I think her deployment was pretty successful just these past few months ago or whatever it was. But yeah, I mean, considering the ships are older, it's not like sending an XL class or a Vista class there, but I think
that would
it'll
have been too much of a
it'll be
risk.
all right. Yeah.
Very.
There we go. Perfect. Okay, nailed it. We're in. Yeah, I honestly, I feel like if they would have put an XL class over there, it would have been, that's too much of a risk. And an XL ship over there is just too much, and it might be even too big. I think the Quantum class over there is like the largest you could get, and I just don't think Carnival has that big of a foothold there to really justify a XL ship.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I think this is a good way of getting more market share out there under the Carnival name. Considering that they're smaller, but yeah, you're definitely right. It's hard to get bigger ships into markets that, the cruise line hasn't really been in, or there's not that big of a market to begin with. So, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Right. Yeah, and Royal is doing pretty good, sending a 1 to 2 Quantum class down there along with, a smaller one, but I think Carnival's still relatively new into Australia. It's something that they've been doing, for the last 10 years, but that's really not, in the grand scheme of things, that's really not a whole lot of time when you really look at it. So, it's
right.
It's one thing to say, yeah, I mean, it's a busy and big market, but it's not, it's still not their bread and butter yet in order to justify, putting new ships there. And even the Royal Caribbean ships, the Quantum class that they put there, they're not full time. So, I mean,
right. Yeah.
They could also do that. They could move them back and forth. I don't think that would be a bad idea instead of keeping them just there year round. But if they're the only ships there year round, I guess they don't really have anyone to compete with. So they might as well.
Right. They were there year round in the first place. I mean, where would they put them? China or Alaska? I mean, Alaska's already too full and they've already got too many ships. Carnival alone probably got enough ships over in Alaska.
So Princess is already there too.
Right. So you're going to end up with just too many ships there. So unless you're going to do the seasonal Asia deployment, which isn't really a Carnival thing to do, these are just going to stay all, year round.
So I guess what itineraries do they do now?
That's a good question. I think they
I have no idea. Like, do they go to New Zealand or do they just do like?
Yeah, I know New Zealand, even down to Tasmania, and sometimes they'll go up and up and down the coast on the. I
want to go to the Great Barrier Reef.
Side. That would be really cool. Australia is definitely Australia's been on my list for a long time. I feel like if I was going to go all the way down there, I might either do a Quantum class or I'd do the Splendor. Probably more leaning towards the Quantum class, but I guess if we're focusing on Carnival, I'd probably do the Splendor or the the Quantum. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot to do down there. I mean, there's so many places you could go.
I want some shrimp on the bobby.
It's like the U.S. if the U.S. was just an entire island. I mean, I don't know if I don't think it's like a 1-to-1, but like that's a very big country and it's all just island.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they can go just about anywhere. And yeah, New Zealand's right there. I know for sure that New Zealand's a very popular destination for
Yeah, I seen a
cruises out of
couple of
Sydney.
pictures a couple of weeks ago that one of the celebrity ships were there, and it
Mhm.
looked cool.
Right, exactly. Um, but yeah, it's very it's very interesting like what they're trying to do to match, the demand of the market. I mean, this has got to be the easiest way for them to do it, and it's also the cheapest way. I mean, restructuring and essentially what they're doing is they're trimming the fat of Carnival Corporation more than I mean, they're still continuing to do it from COVID. I mean, pre-COVID, it didn't really matter. And had the shutdown not happen, it probably wouldn't have been that big of a deal. And Australia got hit harder because they took a lot longer to come back too.
Yeah,
Because
they were
that
more
market,
strict over there.
I don't think they started cruising out of Australia until like 2022 or like
That's
early to
crazy.
mid 2022. It was a long time. Because I think
Yeah.
the by the time they started like opening things up, it was in the off season when everything was in Alaska.
Mhm. And I mean, not only that, but they also just feel like they secluded themselves from everybody else, and they were like, "You guys can all struggle. We will be safe over here." And I think that just hurt the company that was over there in general.
Right. It hurt them as a company just to in that aspect of it. I mean, that's every company went through some sort of hardship due to it, but especially that company in general, just especially being the cruise line. I mean, there's no way for them to make any sort of money for however long that was. So, you know,
Okay, and that
there's
means can we stop now because they're all making a killing? It should not be like $12,000 for a family vacation.
I
yeah,
agree with that.
yeah, it's getting pretty
You
crazy, I'm sure
guys
I'm
have
sure
made
the
your
fuel
money.
costs. What?
I said they have made their money. Just go
Oh,
back to normal.
absolutely. Especially Royal Caribbean. Royal
Yeah.
Caribbean, I love them, but wow, are their prices insane.
Yeah.
But the fact that I haven't booked a cruise in a couple months, I still have like 8 booked. The fact that I haven't booked a cruise in like 8 months is saying something.
Anytime you say those words, something ends up happening. So just don't. I don't have the money.
Yeah, stop.
MSC has a couple good
No, no,
No,
no,
keep it
no,
to yourself.
no.
I'm a bad influence.
Very bad.
Very, very bad.
Someone in chat says, I do wonder if they're gonna do a Costa thing more of a Carnival name compared to a full Carnival transformation, something like Luminosa. These are going to be more like. Hopefully, they do a better job, but these are going to be more like the Luminosa than the Venezia. Just in the fact that they are going to be a true Carnival ship, whereas I think from the start, and I think I may have mentioned this like at the beginning, but I think from the start, Costa by Carnival is never intended to be permanent. Um, when the 2027 dry dock and 2028 dry dock come around for those two ships, it'll be reevaluated if they should go back or not. But those ships are not intended, and they are set up in order to go back to Costa at some point in time. And I think that's the plan whenever. Don't quote me on this because I really don't know, but I think that's kind of what they're looking to do when they ordered these two new XL ships.
I don't know.
So I think they've got. I mean, they're cooking something up too. There's more than just these two XL ships. They've got something that they're working on in the background as far as a next generation ship. It's not like, that's all we got. It's just these two new XLs. Like there's more coming. So
Right.
if it seems like, if it seems like they're cheaping their way out by just getting extra ships from their other cruise lines to cut costs, yes, they're doing that, but they're also here in the United States. Like again, these are secondary market ships for them, stuff that we'll never see and won't go into These new ships are not
start
going to
frying in the kitchen right now.
Right. These ships will never see a 7-night itinerary out of Florida. Never. You will never see any of these ships in Florida. Not even the Luminosa. You'll probably never see in Florida. But the ships that will be going to Florida, those are coming, and it's going to be pretty awesome. Of course, XL ships. There's still the looming rumor and speculation that they're planning to put 2 of those, or 1 to 2 of those, on the 3 and 4 night itineraries. And again, the next gen project is looming imminently. So
isn't Utopia coming out next week?
Utopia
or
comes
leaving
out in
France
July.
next week?
Yeah, July.
Oh.
Yeah, it's coming soon. And that's kind of the thing. They're like, so you've got a 110,000 ton ship from 20 years ago, the Carnival Glory, the Carnival Conquest. Fantastic ships. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bad mouthing it. I actually like these ships, and I'm very looking forward to our cruise on Glory, by the way. She looked really good the other day when I saw her. But when you're comparing a 20-year-old Carnival ship to a brand sparkly new second largest ship in the world, and they're offering the same exact thing, there's no comparison between the two. People are gonna, unless people are just devout, loyal Carnival fans, I think even the devout, loyal Carnival fans that will never do anything but Carnival, I think even they would be tempted to try the Utopia just because, it of what it is. Just like how they did that, they managed to capture that audience from Royal with the Mardi Gras and that class. There's so many people that said they would never cruise on Carnival, and yet, they had this brand new offering with the XL class. It was so different and, un-Carnival-like, and Carnival-like as far, because all their old ships were very cookie-cuttered. They all kind of were the same thing. They had the same thing to offer, things like that. This was just something that was super ambitious and super out there, and they did a very good job with it. And they managed to capture, some people from Royal Caribbean that were like, wow, this is actually really great. As far as the old ships, we'll have to see how that goes, but these XL class ships are amazing.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people that usually cruise with Royal or Norwegian, just other cruise lines in general, that said they weren't fans of Carnival up until they went on one of the XL class, and it's completely changed their mind. Like you said, all their ships are basically cookie cutters of themselves. They're
right.
It's really hard to. Well, it's not, but the basic floor plans of their ships are all the same, and the XL class has completely gone away from that.
Right.
Just in
I've
about
never
every
felt
way.
lost. I've never felt lost on a Carnival ship until I stepped foot on the Mardi Gras. They're all laid out the same. It's always that big long on the the starboard side of the Conquest, the Destiny class, the Dream class, even the Vista class slightly. The Vista class is kind of a step in the right direction, a step in a different direction. But as far as everything from basically the Destiny all the way to the Breeze are all that same exact layout with the glass elevators in the middle, the 3 stories of the atrium, and then all the way up with the glass opening at the top, and then the casino that stretches the whole port side of deck 5, and that little walkway and that little breezeway down the starboard side of deck 5. Like I just described 90% of their fleet.
Do you think they're going to change the name to Carnival Encounter? What are they going to keep it the
I
same
kind of
name?
like those names. I like Carnival Adventure, and Carnival Encounter is still pretty good too. Also, Brady with another $7. Shout out to Dimitri.
I love you, Brady, I love you.
But yeah, I honestly I like those 2 names. I think they would fit in well with Carnival. Yeah, even Carnival Explorer. I know Explorer is not the one that's not coming, but I think even Explorer would be a good name for a Carnival ship.
So they only absorbed the Australian part of it, right? Not the whole company.
Correct. We kind of touched on it earlier, but yes, essentially
Yes,
what it
please
is
recap, Brandon Rumby.
yes, so early 2000. Actually, I got a fun fact after I do this because it still involves
I love
the whole
facts.
acquisitions.
Please share.
So, and I've been doing trivia on my community tab lately, and
And
this
I
will
will say I have gotten them
listen
all right. Thank you very much.
listen closely because this will be a trivia question probably in a few weeks. So listen carefully. So essentially, what happened is that in the early 2000s, it was P&O and Princess. They were, P&O was kind of like the off-brand offshoot, the subsidiary of Princess. And then, early 2000s, they developed just the small Australia division for a couple secondary ships. And then what happened is in the early 2000s, Carnival bought Princess. So in that package deal with Princess, they got P&O and then P&O's Australia division. So it's almost like an offshoot of the offshoot of Princess, essentially, is what it is. But
Gotcha.
my fun fact is that was actually considered financially speaking, it was considered a hostile takeover of Princess with Carnival Corporation. There was a lot of negotiations with Royal Caribbean in Princess. Royal Caribbean was actually in line and lined up to purchase Princess P&O Princess LLC, I think is what it was at the time. Is P&O and Princess. They were lined up to purchase them, and then Carnival stepped in and just started buying up all the shares of Princess, and essentially just said, "Oh, looks like we're the majority stakeholder now. You're one of us." So
Interesting.
yeah, that's why Carnival owns Princess and not Royal Caribbean.
Thank you, Professor Barker.
Wow. I learned more than you have ever.
That'll be a
told
trivia
me.
question.
More than my years in college, I've learned more in just that one statement.
That makes two of
Dr.
us.
Professor Patrick, I think is what it is.
That's what God.
I feel smarter already.
Very, very smart.
Very.
Oh, LS. I think somebody said that they're going to become like Carnival points, or maybe not. Maybe they'll become
The
P&O
loyalty
points.
program?
If you go to UK.
I think that's tough. Honestly, like, what do you do with that? With the loyalty program, I feel like if your company merges with, you got a status match. So I would essentially say however many nights you've had with P&O Australia, should be how many points you've got with Carnival. So I think that's probably what they'll do. It's definitely a very unique situation, though, especially if they're the same company. I mean, they were a Carnival company in the first place.
Speaking of loyalty programs, what do you guys think about Celebrity, Silver, and Royal Caribbean all getting together and having a play date?
I feel like it was bound to happen, but I haven't really looked into it. But I figured it was going to happen.
Yeah, I had been hearing a lot of rumors about it, like as far as merging everything together. It's interesting. So if you're if you got 80 nights, you're diamond on Royal Caribbean, then you go on a 7-night celebrity cruise, you don't come back with 87 points, right? You just get the diamond status match. Is that right? I think that's what I
you just
interpreted
confused
from it.
me. You're gonna have to repeat that.
Yeah,
So,
what?
I know I confused myself with it. So
That was a lot of words.
Very, very many words. But so 80 nights should get you diamond on Royal Caribbean. So if you're diamond on Royal Caribbean with 80 nights, they status match you on the equivalent to diamond on Celebrity.
Okay.
You take a 7-night cruise on Celebrity Apex with the 80 points, the diamond status. Do you return to Royal Caribbean with 87 points, or do you return to Royal Caribbean with 80 points and still diamond, but you just got the perks?
I see what you're saying.
I think it would be
I
that.
couldn't find anybody that specified that.
I think it would be that as you go up in the points, it equals to all three of them.
Yeah, LS says no, it'll stay at 80 points. And Brady with $2
Come on,
Woodley
Dimitri.
on a obligatory super chat. Woodley.
Yes, Justin.
What?
I said yes, Justin.
Yes, what?
Oh, I thought you said my name.
I think I did, but I don't remember how I said it.
Oh, got it. No, because I can think
But-
about it. Like, okay, they're saying status match, but okay, you status match me. I go on a 7-day cruise, but let's say I want to go on Wonder of the Seas instead of Celebrity XL. Give me my 7 points.
Key word
Nah,
though is
definitely not.
status. The key word is status matching, not status
That's 2 words.
combination. Status combination. That's not the term for it, but status matching. So they're going to match your status on there, but it's not. You're
They
not going
want me to
be
basically
accumulating
go
points.
fish and go get my points somewhere else. Take another card, which is take another cruise.
Right, you'll get
yeah.
the diamond status perks, but you're only going to have 7 nights worth of cruises on Celebrity still, and you're still only going to have 80 nights worth of cruises on Royal Caribbean. But you'll get diamond on both.
They should just make it all equal at that point.
That's what I'm saying.
It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, honestly. And like, I mean, if you're that loyal to a cruise line though, like if you say you're diamond plus pinnacle, like, are you actually going to go on Celebrity?
No, you're not. So,
Should you tell them
like how if you've got
enough?
If you've got enough time and money to be 700 nights and being pinnacle with Royal Caribbean,
Is it really 700 nights?
Yeah, that and ambassador with NCL. 700 nights.
700? I thought it was less than that.
There's some people.
No.
There's somebody. I don't remember if it was Wonder or if it was Symphony, but there was somebody on one of those cruises because if you get suites, you get double points. This guy didn't take his first cruise until after COVID's like the COVID shutdown. I think he was probably on like the first sailing for Spectrum.
Yeah, he's a fraud.
So with the suites, you get double points. This guy was first cruise in 2020, like late 2020, I think is when it is. He was double pinnacle by cruise in like late 2022 or early
that's because he was booking cruises during the COVID thing, so he was getting double points for that.
Yeah.
Then he was booking suites, so he was getting double points for that. So he's already getting quadruple points, and he probably went by himself and got like quadruple. So he's probably getting 6 times the points on every cruise, and he booked just like a couple of long cruises after COVID. So like most of these people now are like frauds.
Well,
yeah,
watch your tone there. I'm almost diamond, and I've only been on a handful. I got a lot.
Yeah, but we only
of double
did it
points.
like twice, and
that was also 3 nights. Those were also 3-night cruises. So like I think I got a whole 18 points out of like 3 cruises. Like a 3
Yeah, and some people have 700 out of 3 cruises.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
It's crazy. Like that, the fact that somebody was able to pull off double pinnacle in like 2 years, insane.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Must be nice.
Insane. But back on topic though.
Yes,
I think as far as the the status matching though, I'm sure that if you've got say 100 nights or 120 nights on P&O Australia, which is kind of a lot for a cruise line like that, but I feel like if you've got that many points, you're probably going to be platinum when you go to Carnival, especially on these new ships. It only makes sense.
What? So when these ships went from Princess to P&O, did they change anything on the inside, or still does it look like all the other Grand Class?
Essentially, they're still Grand Class.
Yeah. It was
minor on top. We were talking about the big slide earlier. I did not know they had a big slide up there.
That's like one of they added that like later on, I think. I was
gonna say I think they did it during a dry dock. I remember seeing it now.
Yeah.
But
it was minor upgrades when the transition took place.
P&O Australia actually they actually put like stuff on their ships, unlike Princess did though. Like I think one of these ships has a ropes course. Maybe.
I wouldn't have seen that now that you said that.
Like they actually these are more fun ship-esque than a Princess ship. Right. A family-friendly, fun ship, Carnival type things. I mean, honestly, they're not bad additions to the fleet. I would say these are definitely a bigger and better addition to the fleet than Luminosa was. And Brady again with another $2 said Big Pookie Saga coming tonight.
You're the best. You make my
We
day.
love you.
Am I Big Pookie?
Yes.
I knew it. I knew it.
Oh my god. Featuring JoJo C. Oh Jesus.
Nope, I'm out.
I'm out.
Yep. Peace
Nope.
out.
Nope,
Brady
no.
tagged me in something on, I think me and Dimitri on something in on Instagram one time, and it had JoJo Siwa on it, and I was like, oh my god. I will
spent
never
3 days on a cruise with her. I've had enough.
I will never forget her holding up the security line trying to get through the terminal.
Yeah, just
Like,
what I
all right,
need.
take your pictures on the ship. Let's go. We're in security. We're not supposed to take pictures here in the first place. Let's go.
Yeah, when I do it, I get yelled at, but
Yeah.
when she does it, it's okay.
When I do it, it's illegal.
Yeah, what the heck?
Oh my god.
So P&O
Yeah,
Australia going to Carnival. What a
it's-
day.
Definitely not something I ever thought would happen.
It's crazy. I wonder if eventually it'll be a full takeover. I guess. Well, we said that about Costa, and it hasn't happened yet. But
I don't think Costa will do a full takeover. I also don't think. I see the thing in the
No,
chat.
Costa's
Think
so Costa's struggling, yes, but they're not struggling that bad to warrant being absorbed by Carnival. And again, I think there's very well plans to send the Firenze and the Venezia back. Those, in 5 years when they've kind of recovered and they've kind of got a better foothold coming out of COVID, they struggled out of the gate is essentially what it is. And that was the best way to do it, is Costa by Carnival, because Carnival couldn't keep up, whereas Costa couldn't stand up, essentially is what it was.
they couldn't even crawl.
Right, exactly. They were stumbling home after a long night at the bar, whereas Carnival was pretty much going, hold on, wait up. Essentially is almost a way to put it. The Carnival just didn't have the capacity here in the U.S.
Go ahead, keep going. Sorry.
Carnival just, the demand and the capacity here in the U.S. right now is just, it's not. They can't keep up. Nobody can keep up. Not even Royal Caribbean can keep up. It's through the roof. We have never seen 2019 numbers were like record numbers, like all-time highs for the cruise industry. And I don't think we expected to hit those numbers for like another 10 years. I think a lot of people and a lot of companies were thinking it was going to be a slow and long recovery. And, by 2030, maybe, and this is kind of why Carnival took a little bit of a slower pace when it came to ship ordering, unlike Royal Caribbean, who kind of had no other choice. But, I think a lot of companies thought 2030 was going to be like when it finally started picking up, but it literally, 2022, it was boom, we're ready to go. Like by 2023, we were already posting profits, like billion-dollar profits and revenues and things like that again. And, we're exceeding 2019 numbers. We're already at an all-time high.
Yeah.
So
what I was gonna say was, between the two of you guys, you have like 10 seconds to tell me 3 reasons why you would go on a Costa ship compared to everything else. Go.
Costa by Carnival or a Costa ship?
Just Costa ship. Why you'd pick them over anybody else? What intrigues you? What tickles your fancy about them?
Nothing.
I was gonna say you ran out of time before you could even say that.
So
That's what they need to work on.
I see your point. But that's
Besides
because
their availability and their itineraries,
we are Americans. We are not Italians.
Yeah, buongiorno.
I know Costa, like that's their market. Like that they are born and bred and bleed Italian. Like they are an Italian company through and through. I mean that's what they are. Did you say they run off of spaghetti?
Maybe.
You just
and pizza, mamma mia.
Mamma mia. Yep, look at me. I'm Italian.
but you know what I mean? Like there's probably people that are devoted Costa cruisers that are Italian. They've been cruising with Costa forever, and they'll probably look at Carnival and go, what do you want to do Carnival for? Other than like the whole, roller coasters and things like that. But like, we're like, we got the
I'd
same
like them
ships
to
over
show up
here.
to
Is
the chat
probably,
and please enlighten me on why they choose Costa.
yeah.
I think it's just a bigger vibe in Europe, which is why they don't really come over here. Because I've
They're
seen
not.
like videos and people are like, "Oh, we love Costa ships." So I guess it's just Italian's version of Carnival. So for us, nothing's really appealing to us, but to them, it's basically our Carnival. So
Right, and as somebody who sailed with Costa, by the way, I sailed on the Magica forever ago. But it's I wouldn't call it a luxury line. This isn't like Royal Caribbean compared um, to Celebrity, but there is an extra sense of just like a Italian charm and just elegance to the ships sometimes. When it comes to the decoration,
And the
it's just
same Carnival
heavily
food.
European. Right, actually, I hate the food on Magica is awful, but like there's a different charm, there's a different vibe to a to an Italian liner compared to something that's just made for the U.S.
And I mean, also remember a couple of weeks ago when I was on the podcast, I said the guy knew of someone on the inaugural for Firenze.
Yeah.
Obviously, things need to be ironed out. I was like looking the other
Yeah.
day on like reviews and
Things needed to
stuff.
be
It ain't
ironed out when
doing
I was
so
on
hot.
Icon.
I'm just saying things didn't seem to be going so hot. Things were still were still a little rough.
Right.
People were saying,
That was
and I
like
think
the
they've had
inaugural
plenty of
sailing,
time.
though.
No, I'm saying I read this like last week. I was looking at reviews of like people who have been going and saying that it's still like meh.
Interesting. I
I
mean,
know that's what
with
I
a new
said.
ship, whether it's transferred, I know they did it with
No,
Venezia,
they've had
but I
plenty
know
of
it's
time to fix what they need to fix.
right. I mean, I was on the fourth sailing of Icon, and there was still things that needed to be ironed out. I know the world's largest cruise ship, like Icon, is probably a little bit different than the Costa Firenze, but the first few 2 to 3, 4, I would think is pushing it, but first 2 to 3 weeks is probably a good just buffer to just try to figure things out and iron things out.
Yeah. Agreed.
But again, people also, I mean, the Venezia didn't review well right out the bat because everybody was expecting a Carnival ship. They're still not Carnival ships. Like they have a Carnival name and everything like that, but again, it's Costa by Carnival for a reason. These are not expected and intended to be your traditional Carnival ships. You're going on a Vista class, but you are not going on the Vista. There's still a very big difference.
yeah, that's for sure.
And even the layout of these ships is a lot different, especially on the pool deck. The
Yeah,
the stairs on like each side and that big like square in the middle on the Dream and Vista class, like that's not really there. And really, you have the front and the back stairs to get up to the top deck. It's a very weird layout. I am absolutely aware of that, and I feel like and who knows what our experience on the Venezia is going to be, but I feel like because I know not to expect a Carnival ship when I get on the Venezia, I feel like I might have a bit of a different opinion than somebody who blindly booked the Venezia and said, "Oh, I'm going on a Carnival cruise." And I think Carnival is aware of that, and that's kind of why they're so heavy on, the cruising Italian style type of thing. And they're still not going to major markets either. I mean, they're going to Canaveral, yes, seasonally, but it's staying up. It's staying up in New York, and it's going over to L.A. Smaller markets. They're fillers, kind of like these other ships, in a sense.
Yeah. I feel you.
It's so weird. It's one of those like I feel like Carnival's strategy out of this is just like hear me out, let me cook. Is essentially like kind of the way things are going for Carnival right now. It's like they're making a lot of weird moves, but once everything comes together in the next couple of years, once the next XL ships come out, once the next generation comes out shortly after that, then I think once the bigger picture comes out, I think all of these moves might make a little bit more sense once they're able to like kind of meet the demand and meet the
I don't
market's
doubt that the
picture.
moves are going to make sense, but I just think they have a lot of other things to work on rather than
Yeah,
adding more ships to their fleet.
right. Well, I think the only reason they are though is because
Okay,
there's
it's going to
two.
lower costs. Okay, fine.
Right.
And they're competing
Yeah.
against themselves. Okay, fine. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, in general, if they're going to, absorb more and more and more,
Hmm.
hold up, put it in reverse, Terry. Let's kind of fix what we have first, and then we can go
Right.
from there. Because let me tell you, Paradise and Elation aren't going to be around for much longer.
No,
What are
they
we
will
doing with those?
not.
We gotta have a plan in place there.
Yeah, and
Keeps.
there's no Project Discovery for Carnival that's looming in the background either. The project looming in the background is definitely the complete opposite of Project Discovery. I'll tell you that.
For
So,
real.
so when the Elation and the Paradise are gone, that's it for the small ships. From
Can't
what
see
I've
Carnival
heard, it's
pursuing that.
gonna be crazy. But yeah,
I can't at all.
yeah. But I also think that the Elation and the Paradise might stick around a little bit longer than we think, just because they are
I
a
think
little
they're
bit
gonna
more
stick
recently
around.
updated.
I don't think
Uh,
that's. I'm not doubting that.
they'll still be in the fleet by 2030. I would confidently put money on it that they would be in the fleet still by 2030. Both of them.
I mean,
After
they should. They
2030,
definitely put more work into those two than they did some of the other ones that they ended up getting rid of. So
I was gonna
right?
say, yeah, especially Elation with the added decks. I know Paradise has some of that
Hmm.
stuff, but not all of that stuff. But still,
Right, exactly. I think yeah, they've got the most balconies, they've got all the added decks, they got the nice fancy blue paint job, they got the ducktail in the back. Like they did a very good job with those ships. And honestly, those ships they don't look 30 years old.
no, they
no,
You
look
I
know,
good.
think
I just saw
they're not
Paradise the other
30.
night.
They're not
worse.
30, thank God, but like they're like
No,
25-year-old ships though. I mean, they're getting up there in age, but they don't look 25.
I was gonna say the Conquest class is what needs some help, but they're slowly working on those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they did a very good job with the Sunshine class, but I don't know if they're going to do that with the Conquest. I don't think they will, and I don't think they should, but I do think they need some sort of revamp to the Conquest class because they're just so bland now. With the
Meh.
rest of the
Yeah.
with the rest of the industry, they don't. It's kind of like the example we always use. You can't stick the water park on the Icon onto the Voyager, and that's essentially what they're kind of the spot where they're at. They need to redo those ships and make those ships, you know, up to par with, say the Mardi Gras, or at least put them up to the Vista class at least. I'm not saying put Skyride on it, but revamp them to put, some of them have a little bit more water slides, but throw a ropes course on there. Throw, something new and different on there to make them stand out more. But I think
Right.
they're in a spot where like there's just not a whole lot on those ships compared to something else in the industry. And again, I mean, using Utopia as an example, I mean, you've got you've got a couple water slides on the Glory, or you've got an entire water park, a zip line, a carousel, a 10-story dry slide. You got ice skating. Like you got, which one are you gonna pick? One's gonna be a lot more expensive than the other, but which one would you pick?
Ice skating.
Ice skating. That's what I would pick
I like
for.
ice skating.
I would pay money to see you ice skate.
I would too.
When are we going ice skating?
I'm ready. Let's go tonight.
Maybe we need to spend that 700 to go on Voyager, and so I can see that.
Yeah, just so you can see a fat man ice skate.
Oh, that's good stuff.
I love ice. Well, I don't love it, but I ice skate.
I couldn't tell you the last time I've been ice skating.
I'd probably snap my leg.
Probably. Speaking of,
That's all right.
I'm surprised with Panorama that there's not like all sorts of like people injuring themselves on that sky pad or that sky zone thing.
When I used to be a camp counselor, like way back in the day, we went to like bungee, not a bungee, like a trampoline park thing.
Mhm.
And I watched some kid completely blow out his knee on one of the trampolines. Like
Oof.
it was disgusting. I ran.
Yeah.
I said, "Someone else can help you. I'm out." No, 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 no.
Somebody go help him.
Yes.
Why can't you?
am
I ain't
not
touching that.
EMT. I am not qualified for that. I'm merely here to make sure your kid gets back on the bus at the end of the day.
That kid definitely did not get back on the bus, so you didn't do your job very well.
No, he got onto an ambulance. Stupid kid.
Poor kid. Oh my god.
So that's
anyways.
that, man.
Anyways, I think we're coming up on a good stopping point and a good wrap up. But yeah, this is my entire cruise industry bingo card. Not even my bingo card for this week, but my entire cruise industry 2024 bingo card was not including, P&O Australia disappearing and Carnival getting 2 P&O ships. It was
definitely.
It did not include that.
very, very surprising. And again, like we said at the beginning of it, if you would have told me 10 years ago that the Golden and Star Princess were going to be Carnival ships, I would have told you you're nuts.
Yeah, for real.
But it's a
And that
different
the
time.
Pacific Encounter is going to the Greeks. Or Explorer is
The
going to the
Explorer.
Greeks.
It's going to have a giant mermaid on it. Like, it's going to look just like magic.
Giant mermaid. Mermaid sea trips.
But yeah, with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap things up here. Thank you guys for hanging out. And of course, thank you everybody in the chat and that was watching this live, listening. And of course, special thank you to Brady for all the super chats tonight. Thank you so much.
You Coop, I love you.
Yeah, thank you. Love you.
Thank you already.
And with that, we will see you next week. Thanks for listening and watching.
Bye.